This is Business Outlook. So glad you could join us, and apologies for starting a notch late. But I'm your host, Jimmy Kanasha, and here to remind you that you and I are the reason the economy gets to improve. And because you cast your vote, you make decisions. At the end of the day, it's you to make the money. Welcome once again. I'm your host, Jimmy Kanasha. Today, we'll be reviewing the speech by the president, the president-elect, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, who actually gave a very powerful speech today, talking about economic development, and we're analysing that. And to start with, I have two guests that have joined us today on the program. To start with is social economist Mr. Kelvin Chisanga, who's actually going to give us his thoughts, his line of thoughts, and then later on we're going to have Mr. Trevor Hambayi, who's another economist, who's actually giving us some more insight into what he thinks is actually pertaining to the presidency and the way forward, and also some of the benefits of this new government. So take a listen to this. Now. All right, thank you so much for joining me again, Mr. Chisanga. It's good to have you on the program once again. Welcome to Business Outlook.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be on this program.
Indeed. At least this time you can see me, so it's a very, very important factor.
Which is a very good thing.
Indeed. Yes. So today we just witnessed one of the greatest moments in history, and that is the inauguration of the seventh Republican president, that is Hakainde Hichilema, or His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema. And maybe before we dig into the in-depth of it, maybe your take on the inauguration ceremony today. What do you think? Was it a sight to see, or, how did you feel about it?
Well, it's got a mixture of sentiment in that for some of us, it was like an emotional day in some way, because obviously, this has been highly expectant to a point whereby there was a very close tight in terms of, competitive sort of ideas between the former president as well as the incoming president. Obviously, we know that even when you look at the international media houses, they were very anticipating that these two, it might even bring us into a different sort of like chaotic kind of situation because of the way politics was being taken by the patriotic front as well as the UPND. So all these were, seeming to be a sort of like element of tendency to the whole scenario of our democratic system. And I think it has given birth to the true democratic state of life for Zambia.
Indeed. Now, we know that the president seemingly is a man of his word. And also, I'm saying this because he also made a bold statement saying by the time he's sworn in, the currency, the kwacha against the dollar or foreign currency will actually appreciate. And we've seen the appreciation of the kwacha for over a week. I think from the time the election period, we saw that the kwacha began to appreciate. Up until after the election results were announced, we've seen that the kwacha the price has actually been dropping since then, making it appreciate. What is your overview of that statement? And do you think it's a reality, or is there any danger attached to it?
Well, I would say it has been a reality according to his statement. Of course, even just the caliber and the type of a person, I think it has been testified positively in that we have seen the movement, in the markets, and even just the strong sentiment that has been characterized within the portfolio of the Zambian economy. Obviously, we can testify to say that if you look at the investor sentiment and even the participation of most of the portfolio investors on the market, particularly the stock market and even just the secondary market, I should put it in particularly, we have seen some improvement in that there have been some over subscription when it comes to bonds, and also there has been a very positive atmosphere altogether, because if you see even what has been happening today, it is something that has actually triggered even a lot of confidence, to a point where you're going to have a lot of investors flocking into the market because of the stability. If you look at it in this way, democracy is directly linked to economic growth or economic development. So obviously we're going to see an influx of investment coming to the nation, so that we're able to see how you can move forward, because obviously we are now going to ride on a stable policy, and also we are going to see a lot of microeconomic fundamentals shaping up in a very perfect conditions.
Interesting. But do we also see this working well for local investors, local businessmen? And we know that it's also attracting a lot of international interest. But what does this mean for the local people, businessmen out there?
Well, for the local, I'm sure if you also followed up with the president's speech, there was an area where he really emphasized of the local participation and also the regional participation. Of course, he has the mind of the international as well, but from the local things, I think it's a high time that we need to drive most of the economic fundamentals as Zambians, as people that are actually in the nation. So I think that's a contact which was making so strong on his speech, to say we need to have participation of local people as well as participation of regional people. So I think it requires that we need to also push forward the policy, local content policy, which has actually been, sitting under the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. There's a need for us to ensure that policy comes to actuality, so that we're able to see how best we can do things from there.
Interesting. Also, his talks about, I think another factor has been the issue of streets, or is it cadres? Controlling markets and bus stations. We've seen from the time he got announced as president, we've seen different bodies, for example, Osaka City Council, taking to the streets to ensure that, law and order is maintained in terms of taking over these markets and bus stations. Do you see Zambia actually starting to see more revenue being raised from within, internal revenue realized? And how can you translate this to also resolving the debt crisis that we're still in?
Well, the bottom line here is that the way local city councils have actually taken leadership over most of these buses as well as public market. It's a very welcome move, because obviously we've seen how the social service has been deteriorating in some places where we do not even need to think twice. Obviously, if you look at the township of Lusaka, particularly the central district area, we've seen the huge garbage, we've seen the huge issues, even when it comes to
yes,
energy block. So it does not give us so much of what we need to do. But what I would say is that just hold on a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, but what I would say is that I think it requires us to go this way, and it can help us to ensure that we do things correctly. So I think it is something that is highly recommendable, and also in line to pay the debts. I think the government has programmed this to be a very key factor, in that it's going to help a number of things in some way. Look at in the way if people are going to participate, obviously that now brings up to the issue of local mobilization strategy, in that we are going to collect more taxes, more money is going to be collected from domestic avenues. So that also gives a platform in some way.
Interesting. Now, another quick one. We know that the formation of a new cabinet is important. I'd like you to answer this in the quickest time as possible. What would you like to see in the formation of cabinet? And would it be something that will be economically viable? And also, then there's been certain speculations in terms of, appointments, for example, especially in the central bank. Some people have been anticipating the replacement of the current Bank of Zambia governor, Mr. Mvunga. Some are speculating that he might be replaced. Is there a need to replace Mr. Mvunga at this point? Or is it just people who haven't shown enough confidence in him yet, who feel he's not doing much? Or, can he be maintained? Or do you see any need for a change in the governor at the moment?
Well, the change is inevitable because obviously, even when you look at the campaign messages that the current president HH was actually placing on, he actually called to say that there will be a need for us to change a competent Bank of Zambia. In his belief, he thinks that there is a need for him to have somebody who actually will be assured of his caliber and also will be guaranteed by what actually he believes can drive the economy. Because the only issue with HH now, or the current president, is that he understands the economic systems. So he would love, maybe in one or the other, it will even be better for him actually in this case, because he's going to actually talk to the technocrats at a peer-to-peer kind of system, and he understands some of these matrices as well as the system. So it will be very helpful for him to understand what actually is prevailing within the government functions. So the issue of having somebody he believes he can work with at the central bank, it is something that is very cardinal for him. And then also looking at the composition of his cabinet, we expect a lot of competent people that will be able to actually work their lungs out to a point whereby we need to see the change that should be able to trigger, because people have voted for him based on a certain principle and certain way of his stature, because he has portrayed a different life altogether. Even when it comes to the capability and the capacity that he has carried over time, it shows that he is able to do certain things in a transparent and resilient way. So I think the best is that we will be able to see some of these to trigger. Even when you look at the way he has started championing on the national debt issues, I think that shows a very good stance, because if you look at what he has been talking about all this time, he's been talking so strongly on the issue to do with the debt dismantling or debt restructuring. So that tells you to say that he has already made some commitment toward solving out issues that need to be sorted out in the nation. And not only that, also he's been talking so high of social cases where we should not go to have so much of social exclusion in terms of development. So he is looking at that. If you look at the setup of our Zambian system now, we've got a huge gap in terms of economic inequalities. So he's trying to strike a balance there to see how best he can grow the economy and also making it inclusive growth for everyone.
Yeah, interesting thoughts there, sir. I'm really looking forward to actually seeing this come to fruition as well. But what would be your message if you had a chance to speak to the president right now, and probably the UPND government, including the former government under the Patriotic Front, in terms of improving the economy? What would be your message to them today in closing?
Well, okay. My message would be, I think looking at the potential that we have as a nation, we've got robust minerals, the mining sectors being a strong backbone for this nation. Then also we've got a potential in agriculture, we've got potential in tourism, and also we've got a potential to actually even come up with a very robust industrialization master plan, which should be able to actually incentivize some of these challenges that we've been having. Because if you see, mining has been operating on a very fragile policy framework, and that has really even put a lot of things in display. So if there's a need for us to have a resilient and stable policy framework on mining, that could actually help. And also what we need to do is that we need to ensure that the mining sustains or brings on board other productive sector like agriculture and tourism. This should be a strong anchoring, part of the economy, which should be able to actually be able to be sustained and try to help also on the side of the mining sector. But again, also we should be able to see that we need to build strong policies on education, because education has been one of the things that has also even been reducing on the budget share over time. So I think there's a need for us to increase on the budget share, education, as well as health care, because these are the things that we need to actually soldier on and ensure that we also remain competitive to the UN parameters or the index. So I think if given an opportunity, they should be able to look at agriculture. They should be able to look at tourism. I know tourism this moment is not very active because of the COVID issues, but it's one of the untapped potential that we have as a nation, and even agriculture itself. Look at what we have in the region. We've got a vast opportunities for export. We've got Congo, which is a readily available market. We've got Angola, which is a readily available market, and we've even got Tanzania here. We've got, the market itself has got vast opportunity. Even when you look at Zimbabwe also is something that we can also tap into in terms of marketing our produce from this end.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chisanga. I know we're already short of time. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope to have further chats with you this week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good day.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Welcome, Mr. Hambayi, to Business Outlook. It's good to have you on our program tonight. And, let's start with welcomes first.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. It's been a while since I was here, and the last time I was here was actually during the previous government's reign.
Definitely.
Things have changed since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and speaking of change, we've also seen issues of the currency actually seeing an appreciation, a fast appreciation so far. We've seen the kwacha dropping from almost a 21, 22 kwacha to almost a 25 kwacha rating, dropping to at least 18 kwacha against the dollar and other currencies as well. What's your take on that? Is that a good thing, or is there a danger attached to it?
Any appreciation of the currency is a good thing, especially considering to where we were as a country. But you must appreciate, for purposes of business and economic growth, we need a stable exchange rate. So yes, it needs to continue to drop, but it needs to stabilize very, very quickly. Otherwise, the effects really in terms of planning are the same, whether it's rising or depreciating, because then you cannot plan. And this is important for purposes of economic recovery, that we need to be able to plan our strategies, both as businesses as well as government expenditure. And it is important that we get a stable micro position regarding the exchange rate.
Indeed. And speaking of the new government, we've just witnessed the inauguration of the 7th Republican president, Hakainde Hichilema. And also, I'd like to pick your thoughts on, one, his speech, and also just what the environment could translate into in terms of economic progress. Does it show confidence? Also looking at the type of dignitaries that have shown up to the inauguration, does it show any form of confidence in Zambia actually surging ahead in a positive direction?
So from the inauguration speech, he's speaking the right kind of language that the country requires. There are a number of key aspects that I picked from his speech, in terms of what was covered from there. And the first one is around governance, that he is speaking of a governance structure, that he is speaking to good governance. And this is very, very important, both firstly from a fiscal position as well as from a policy position. The second one that he did actually raise is the one that is speaking to economic recovery. And in the economic recovery, he is covering the issue regarding our debt position, our fiscal deficit, as well as prudent management of resources. The third aspect from that speech that is very interesting is the youth inclusiveness. One of the key factors that has been driving now the populist election in terms of him being elected as president has been the youth, but it has also highlighted how deep our challenge is regarding having to support the youth in this country, because 60% of the population is youth below the age of 35. This needs to be addressed, and he's speaking to the issues around entrepreneurship, job creation, and supporting them in having to start their own businesses. The last one that I see is the issue around the upholding of human rights, that there are a lot of violations that we had prior in the country that were speaking to human rights, where there were people that were being treated differently in terms of rights in the country, that this needs to go. The issue of cadarism, the issue of Public Order Act, the issue of freedom of speech, the issue of freedom of assembly, all those things speak to good governance and creating a conducive business environment. And I think all those things are speaking to. The thing about economic recovery is that before we are able to have economic recovery, are kept together. And I think that is my key view regarding the position. But he's also mentioned the fact about inclusiveness, that his cabinet is going to reflect an inclusiveness of unity at the moment. Requires to put people in these positions that reflect his beliefs. And I do not think that he wants to carry over the old tendencies that we had, and thus we need a new kind of thinking. Remember, he's wanting to get the country to get to a 10% GDP growth. And I totally believe that this country has the capacity to be able to do this. We do have the resources, we have the human capital, and we have the geographical advantage location to be able to achieve this. And I think this is very, very positive. So unfortunately, yes, you find that key positions such as the Bank of Governor is going to be replaced. But we also had a number of challenges when the Bank of Governor was appointed a couple of months ago, because we thought that the person that was removed actually had more international credibility to run the position than the one that came in. And right now, we need a bank governor who has got international recognition for us to be able to negotiate on the international market, for us to be able to take advantage of the goodwill that will be coming, which has been reflected by the type of delegates that came for the inauguration, that we have not seen an American delegation come for an inauguration in this country, other than at independence, which is the same thing that we had a number of. We had also the European Union represented from Europe in terms of a delegate. We had the British, the United Kingdom represented at the inauguration, who are delegates that traveled, not by the local ambassador, but by a special representative that has been sent by the presidents of those countries. This is speaking to how positive this is going to be, and I think we must capitalize on this to ensure that we can get the country on the platform for recovery economically.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Mr. Hambayi. I wish we could have more time to actually cook this up. But I know we're going to have another platform. Hopefully we can host you on Thursday again so that we can actually continue expanding on this and looking at other expectations. Maybe we can also dissect into who is more credible to actually get appointments in these sectors. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. All right, so those were the two gentlemen actually giving us insights into what they think about the current economic status. Your thoughts are very welcome, so get in touch with us on using the number on your screen, but also go to our page, CBC Television Zambia. Your comments are being awaited upon on that platform. But also, we take a look at today's foreign exchange rates. Last week, we know that the United States dollar was trading around 17 kwacha, but today it shows, rather after the inauguration, shows that the dollar has seen, a different change, and the kwacha has appreciated, and today it's at 16 kwacha 54 ngwe in buying price, and selling at 16 kwacha 85 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 22 kwacha 63 ngwe and selling at 22 kwacha 6 ngwe. The Euro is buying at 19 kwacha 38 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 75 ngwe. As well as the South African Rand, which has been trading at 1 kwacha 8 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 10 ngwe respectively. We hope to see these prices actually dropping as time goes by, and your thoughts on this are very important. I'll see you next time. I'm Jimmy Kanasha. Don't forget, the economy depends on you and me. See you next time.
Keep your eyes on the prize, eyes on the prize, eyes on the scheme. You gon' need eyes behind your back. Who you looking at? Who's looking at you? Blinded by love, maybe you need a better view. All eyes on you, all eyes on you. Biggie's eyes on you, Biggie's eyes on you. World's eyes on you, world's eyes on you. So what you gon' do? So what you gon' do?
Readjust your vision for the all-new season of Big Brother Naija, now streaming 24/7 on Showmax. Rated 18. Sign up at showmax.com.